Hello everyone. Today I'll be talking about the life of Gideon, the battle he had with the Midianites, and we'll be looking at some of the lessons that could help us in our spiritual life. So we'll see in the book of Judges chapter 6 through chapter 7, we realize that the Israelites were oppressed due to their disobedience to God, and because of that, they were under torture by the Midianites. So literally they are like slaves to the Midianites, and it got to a certain stage whereby they had to cry out to the Lord Almighty to save them. And of course, we have a God that is merciful, and He sent a prophet to remind them of what He has done in their lives, at least as far back as how He led them out of Egypt when they were oppressed in the land of Egypt, among other things that God has done for them, so that it will bring them to the understanding that God loves them, God doesn't hate them. And because of that, subsequently, when we read through the chapter, we see that God sent an angel to visit the father of Gideon, who is Joash. And it was at that point that Gideon was elected to save the people of Israelite. And when we go through that passage, we realize that Gideon is from the smallest tribe, which is the tribe of Manasseh, and he was also the weakest among his brothers as well. So, and because of that, God used him to save Israel and make Israel to be free from the hand of the Midianites. So, what are the lessons that we learn, that we can learn from the life of Gideon and how he defeated the armies of Midianites with just 300 men? The first thing was that he had a conversation. The first thing he did was that he questioned God, that if God loved the people of Israel, why are these evil things happening to the people of Israel? And it was that conversation that he had with God, immediately was asked to come and rescue Israel, that made him to see more, to know the reason why he was chosen. So when we take time to ask God about life issues, whatever that is bothering us, it will open up that opportunity for God to open our eyes to see what is going on, and to let God show us what He intended to do out of that situation that is bothering our lives. And that thing is that he was obedient and he believed God. He understood that God is supreme. He understood that God has power over all things. He rules over all the earth. And because of that, it also helped him as well to achieve his mission of delivering the people of Israelite. And we should also remember that God uses the fool to shame the wise. And when we are weak, we are strong. So another thing is that he also consecrated himself, because of his faith in God and the need for him to be holy and pure. He went to put down the gods that his family is serving, because the people of Israel turned to idolatry and they began to worship Asherah. So all those posts were put down, and to show that he believed only in God. And that's another thing, in our life, we should aim to maintain a holy and pure life. We need to consecrate our God, for God to use us, for God to do great things out of our lives. Another thing is that he was also convinced, he has that conviction that God will do it. But how did this happen? He asked for a sign from God. So the sign he asked from God is a sign that to prove that he is convinced that God is with him. Because if you go through that chapter, you will see that he placed a fleece of wool outside, and he asked that God to show him a sign through that. And it was through that he was fully convinced that God is actually with him. So if we are in doubt of anything, let's also always ask God that God give me a sign. God, show me a proof so that I will know that you are with me, so that I will know that you are actually leading me in the right direction. Another lesson we learned from him is that he was attentive. He actually followed the instruction God gave him to letters, and that was how he was able to reduce all the armies down to 300, and he wasn't afraid. Because he already had that conviction already. So whatever God told him, he was following it to letters. So whatever instruction God gives us, let us try to follow it, and at the end, it will be that we are going to come out as winners, which is what we want. Because we gain nothing when we lose, right? So we become winners when we follow God's instructions to letters. And finally, he was humble and he gave honor to God, because we see that from chapter 7, 18 to 20. From chapter 7, 18 to 20, we see that when they were going to that war, he said that when I and all who are with me blow our trumpet, then from all around the camp blow yours and shout for the Lord and for Gideon. So that's a statement of honor unto God. He doesn't rely on his own ability, he doesn't rely on his own army, but he relies on God. That's why he said that it's for the Lord and for Gideon. So whatever we do, let us learn to be humble. Let us always give honor to God, and we see that our life will be different, and we see that whatever we are trusting God for, whatever we want to do in life as Christians, we always find everything being sorted out. God bless you.